first manga review. This will be a new series that I'll be doing on my channel where I'll be getting manga that I've never read before and reviewing it. So this will be very in-depth. I put bookmarks on all the pages that I thought were awesome or just interesting or pertinent to the plot. And I wrote down, my handwriting is horrible, but I wrote down a bunch of notes and stuff of everything. Of all the stuff that I'm gonna write down. So each period in my notes is a pink bookmark in here. So this will be rather in-depth and probably a rather long video. But I just thought it'd be fun to do because I really like manga. And I've read about 350 different manga and there's more ongoing, but I haven't written those down yet. Unlike I have in my anime list and those aren't written down. So I just thought that manga that I've never read before would be a good one to start with for reviews and stuff. So the first one is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I really like the main series, so I thought it'd be a good one to start off with. And I started collecting them, and it's a pretty good story. So I read through all the first 3 volumes right here. That's all the pink bookmarks, and then I'll do 4 to 6 later. And then when 8 and 9 come out, I'll do 7, 8, 9. So I'll do 3 volumes at a time, just so there's enough for the videos. First of all, we have Vigilante, a member of a volunteer committee organized to suppress and punish crime, similarly as when the possessor of law, a self-appointed doer of justice. That joins out the world, basically shows exactly what the world's gonna be about and things like that. So that's a good first one. And now, so in these first few pages, it's introducing a new type of hero and showing heroes from the main story that's basically establishing that they're connected worlds. This series takes place about when the main heroes are in like I think late middle school, so about 3 or 4 years ago probably. I mean late elementary school, so yeah, about 4 years ago. This just connects the worlds. So if we go to the next bookmark, it immediately shows the heroes fighting. This is the MC, one of his friends, and then another guy. It immediately shows the heroes fighting together and basically establishing it with an action scene. We go here, it introduces the main character, Koichi Himawari, 19 years old. So, and then it tells us his quirk, slide and glide. Gotta make contact at 3 points for it to activate, which is a pretty good quirk actually, because he can just go fast and things like that. So, just wanted to just show that, introducing characters and stuff like that. And he fights delinquents, and he actually shows a good comedy where he shows like he's a funny dude that he's doing his quirk basically to do a koto. I just like that it's being lighthearted. Okay, so then the next one shows that he works a dead-end job and that he's pretty much down on his life and he's just doing whatever he can to make money and things like that. Just giving some backstory to the character. Right now, it shows that, oh, even though he's down on his life, he's still trying to do good. And so he's a vigilante and he wears like an All Might costume that he's very proud of. And just shows that anybody can do that, just be a vigilante. Yeah, so he's very pessimistic, but he's trying to do his best. So you can't help but root for him, really. That's what I wanted to get across. But yeah, so basically, he just trying to act like All Might with the costume. But with his power, I just really want him to stand on his own and be his own person and be his own hero, basically, with whatever way he can. He has an infatuation with All Might like Midoriya. So they're very similar in that regard. Just, I thought it was interesting that they're basically using the same kind of backstory where he got inspired by All Might as well. So they're very similar in that way. And then he just immediately meets a new person and he just has, and then with her crying, he has a very strong sense of justice where he immediately helps her, and that's how they become friends. Just shows how good of a person he is, basically, even though he's not even a hero, which I really like. And then right here, it just shows that even though All Might says that he's here and that he's always going to show up, he's not always on call, and this just gives depth to the world where it's basically like, heroes are not always there to save everybody, so there's other people that have to save people. What happens with life, I guess. Then I like this part because it basically introduces the All Might of the series. Very strong character. He looks definitely like a stereotypical vigilante, with just the way he's dressed and stuff like that, which I really like because he looks pretty awesome looking. And then this is basically like Midoriya and the slime monster. The main character immediately jumps in the battle and tries to save people by his sheer sense of justice and just not goes for it, which I really like. He just runs right into it. Alright, and then here, this introduces the main conflict of the story, which is Idio Trigger. So this introduced basically the 3 delinquents that got destroyed. Immediately introduces them, and it's like, yo, boom, we're bad. And so just good setup. It's like, oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. And this is just his the main character sheet that I wanted to show. So it shows his real name, his birthday, his height, his favorite thing, then his quirk, and some behind the scenes information. So just they want him to be adult, but like Midoriya, and so just his initial character design. So very good information for that. All right, and then this just shows that Pop Step was actually pretty smart than they give her credit for, pretty much. Where she immediately recognized that this guy is always in pictures in the background of things, so he might be connected to the bad guys. It shows that she's intelligent. I wanted to mention that. Alright, and then this is introducing a fan favorite character from the series before he ever becomes one of the teachers. And just I thought it's a good connection because everybody loves Eraserhead because he's so awesome, even including me. And so it's just a good one to put down. And then it also introduces, this page is very important because it also introduces that this Knuckle Duster is actually quirkless, because Eraserhead tries to use his powers on him, which means he's quirkless, but he's just very, very strong and determined to do good. That he's just a badass all around. All right, and then now I thought this was important because this introduces her quirk, which is leap. So she can basically leap really hard, really far, but she can't actually fly or anything like that. And this is important as well because for this next part, it shows that a very awesome moment where he goes past his bounds and basically powers up his quirk just to save her, which is super awesome because it's just an awesome moment like all the rest of My Hero, where just things happen whenever the characters want it. And then this is another classic My Hero moment where basically giving a backstory of like, this is how I become the best, or this is how I do whatever I want to do and things like that. So I think this is really awesome because it just shows like we're expecting something new and we're expecting something as we go on, which is super awesome. And here's Knuckle Duster's character sheet that I wanted to mention. So their real name unknown, birthday unknown, height 185 centimeters, favorite things smoking and beer, quirk is none. That's his initial character design. And some behind the scenes, All Might equals Superman, then this guy's more like Batman, and social justice versus personal justice. So that's the kind of character that they want. They're introducing quirks again. And then something really cool is introducing all the heroes from the main series. Then there's NGM before Ida became him, basically introducing all the heroes before, which is really cool because their character designs are still amazing. This is a cool moment because Knuckle Duster gives the main character gloves, so basically he can break whenever he needs to, and powers up his quirk to where he can go as fast as he wants as long as he can break with those gloves, which I really like that he never thought of it. And then basically come up with his hero name, Crawler, which I really like because it's a different kind of naming scheme than the rest of them. But they immediately mistake it for like a donut, which I think is hilarious and just more lighthearted before we get to the main stuff. And then it just shows that main character, he's a good guy, he saves people, he's just an all-around person to root for, which I really like. He's kind of stupid later on though, but he's really, really awesome, which I enjoy because there's somebody to root for. This is another cool moment because it shows how strong Knuckle Duster is even though he doesn't have a quirk. So he just beats the crap out of the bad guy and then just destroys him, which I really like. All right, and then another fan favorite character. This introduces the detective from the main series. He knows about vigilantes. He's just gonna worry about them, but it actually shows that, oh, another fan favorite character is gonna be a main character in this series probably, which I really like because it just connects more of it to the world. And then it shows that his power is evolving even more to where now he can like climb walls and stuff like that. Which definitely shows some growth already, even though it's only chapter 4, which I really enjoyed because it just shows that even though he started off super weak as soon as he met Knuckle and stuff like that, his just quirk has been evolving. This is how the people look like without their hero costumes on, so that's Knuckle Duster, and then that's Pop Step. So it just shows that they're still, the main dude looks the same, but these guys, you never see him without his mask, and then you never see her without her hair, so it just basically shows that they're more like human and just looks better. And then this is basically where he lives, so it's just kind of like a perfect place to hide out and have a main base at, which reminds me of Batman. If Batman lived above ground, just a crappy penthouse on the roof, trying to be a hero as best he can, so he's just buying whatever he can. And then we skip a little bit more, so this just shows that the MC is actually pretty happy being a vigilante, and basically he's accepting of his life right now, and then he's finally happy now that he has friends to do the work with him. This introduces a new character named Tanuma, which is basically the detective's boss. They know what's happening in the world, and they're talking about it and stuff like that, just because they're smart enough to figure things out. This introduces a new character, and because of how crazy her get-up is, and she has an eye patch, I knew she had to be an important character to the story, because they would never dress anybody up like that without her being a main character. Yeah, because all the other guys look just completely normal, but she just has a crazy get-up. So I bookmarked, boom, immediately realized this bad guy like on the next page. So she's a part-time villain. She has clean bee, that's her quirk, filled up with nasty drugs. So she basically, with her powers, she can just drug anybody and release their quirks and makes them look like villains and things like that. So she has a very, very powerful quirk, which would be good for hospitals or something like that, like a mass vaccination would be cool. But she chose villainy, which is annoying. I like this because this series will be more backstory on Ingenium. Basically how good of a person he was, because you never really met him in the main series. Shows how fast he is in that he's always springing in the action, and then Endeavor and all the other heroes down here, all the main heroes that you see from the series, like Quickshot and then Midnight, it just shows how strong they are, and that they're always there helping people. She's gonna start changing things by doing something to this guy, and this is another Midoriya kind of monologue where the true threat was lurking in the showers, not knowing what was to come, brings the rest of the story together in the end of the volume, which I really like. So overall, volume 1 is very good. A lot of information to get through. I wrote down like 2 pages of notes. A lot of information, but a lot of important information that just sets up the world and helps you figure out what's going on. And if you haven't seen the main series, it gives you backstory on things like that. But if you are reading this, you've probably read the main series as well. But it just gives a nice backstory and just introduces you back into the world of My Hero. And overall, a pretty good start to his story. MC had some cool moments as well, which really got me hooked onto it. So overall, very, very good. Probably like a 9 out of 10 for the first volume. All right, now we have volume 2, where it starts getting intense. So there's Ingenium, Knuckle Duster, Crawler, and then some new villain character looking guy that we've never seen before. So there's all those bookmarks for this one. Couple pages. It immediately introduces 3 new characters that seem like comic relief, and they all have the same quirk as the MC. So it actually introduces characters that have very similar quirks to him, and I just thought that quirks were all different for every single person, just with different names, but there's literally the same name quirk, which I've never seen before. So I thought that was very interesting. That even with the same quirk, there's drastically different people where these guys are all perverts and evil, and MC is a good guy. So it just shows that there's a bunch of different kinds of people in here, and that even if you have the same type, you don't have to be a bad guy, basically. Another one of how it shows how strong the Knuckle Duster is, even without his quirk, which is super badass. It's very exciting to see him fight. How strong the bee user is, where she's just doing whatever she wants and infecting people as she goes, where she's basically a very gross thing, but she's basically selling her body to get victims for her quirk. All right, and then this one I really, really like on this bookmark. A few, like 6 pages later, it introduces Tensei Ida, a hero Ingenium, immediately tells him his hero identity, his real life identity as well. So it just shows that MC is a big fan. This guy lives in the same area as the MC and basically have similar quirks. So it's just very cool introducing him and how good of a person he is, and then he immediately tries to help him with his quirk, which I really, really like. Just shows that he's a much bigger character than we give him credit for, which instead of just making Ida basically have his resolve to be a hero. Alright, and then immediately, 5 pages later, gives him his business card, basically, and tries to recruit him because of his quirk and just how strong he is. Originally, he thought that he was in school, so after he graduated, so it looks like you can't work at a hero agency if you haven't graduated. College, I mean, like at a hero school. But because he's 18 and he's not at a hero school, I don't think he'll be able to work with Ingenium, which is kind of sucky. And then this just shows of how much he loves All Might. Even if it got ripped, he immediately repaired it, and he has decent sewing skills to repair his uniform, and that he'll only wear All Might merchandise when he does crime fighting and stuff like that. So it just shows of how dedicated he is to heroing and to All Might. Alright, and then for this one, this gives backstory on Pop Step, like Midoriya did, where I Am Here immediately jumps into the water and saves the kid, and then the kid turns out to be a Pop Step, but he used his All Might sweater that he loves and then wrapped it around her. It's one of those anime tropes where young boys are actually girls. It's seen a lot in like childhood friends and stuff like that. Like a lot of series do it, but this was done rather well because he saved her and stuff like that. and that just shows how much of an effect that had on her. She changed his life to where he was on his way to take the hero test, but because he saved her, he couldn't be a hero, which I think is complete bullshit, because I wrote down on my notes that even if he did save her, if he told them that, they would have been like, oh, sweet, be a hero, which seems dumb. Like the whole story of my hero is that do whatever you want, basically, as long as you're heroic, and you'll be rewarded for it, because he saved the girl. That's what a hero does. But it just seems like they didn't let him make any excuses for that, which is just dumb. So, I mean, a major flaw, even if it's a good backstory for their characters. She was basically intrigued in that every time they passed by, because they lived in the same area, she was always interested in what he was doing. And that showed that she kept the uniform, so she has some kind of crush on him, which I really like, because it gives another good backstory. And that this just starts to show how oblivious he is to things. This part introduces a new villain. So this guy, his name is Steinthal, and he's a new villain where he looks like an awesome ninja dude with a nice sword. So it just introduces so this volume is introducing all kinds of characters. The first one was all about sticking with the world, and now we're getting to the main plot points of the series, which I really like, because and it's also giving good backstory to people. Very good setup volume. Not just his name and another cool hero shot of him. So he immediately stabs him in the eye and slices down. So it just shows how strong he is, even if this guy's like made out of rocks and stuff. It just shows that he's different than everybody. Where he says, is your judgment? That he's not really a vigilante. He's kind of he's an evil version of a vigilante. Basically, there's a lot like that, where there's evil vigilantes and good vigilantes. I would call Knuckle Duster a kind of a mean vigilante, just because he hits so hard. And then Pop Step and the MC are more like hero ones, where they deserve to be heroes, but I don't know about the other two. Knuckle Duster is definitely a hero-like, just he gets too intense. And on this one, so this introduces my favorite character so far, and this is the manhole cover guy. Because that vigilante, he uses manhole covers to fight, and it's super awesome. But then Steinhold immediately freaking breaks in, and he freaking breaks in and just starts to kill him. But manhole cover dude, like throws like discus, he's super awesome. But this is the tongue movement, immediately reminds me of Stain. So this might have been Stain before he turned, well, he's already kind of evil in this volume, before he turned like major evil, because this was like 4 years ago. So this was Stain before that. Gives good backstory on, well, not really, but later on it gives good backstory on Steinhold and how he became even eviler, so which I like. And then unfortunately he freaking took all them down, which is annoying, because I really like Manhole Cover Dude. He was super cool, one of my favorite characters. His character thing was so funny. Alright, and this is the main B lady, her evil. She's real name unknown, birthday unknown, 162 centimeters. Favorite thing is Honey Toast, quirk is Queen Bee, and then some behind the scenes stuff. So basically it shows that he does have the same quirk as Stain, so it probably is Stain. So licking the opponent's blood paralyzes them. I don't remember Stain's quirk ever being named in the main series. It might have, but I haven't remembered. So Knuckle Duster fights him, and fights him hard, where he just punches and punches and punches his face, and basically it breaks his nose in. So then it just shows that with his face and everything like that, this is obviously Stain. And so it gives a good backstory on how Stain came to be, and how basically meeting vigilantes changed him on how he feels about the quirk world and stuff like that. And just makes it very interesting connection, I guess, to where if you wanted to talk about it like kind of darkly, that Ida and all of them got destroyed because Knuckle Duster beat Stain, basically, just as a gist of it. It cracked it just for censoring, but he cut off his nose. He's just scraping off his nose, which is super gross, just the feel of no mask. He doesn't wear a mask anymore, even though he wears that banana in the main series. But Knuckle Duster just made him feel so bad and gross that he cuts off his nose and freaking turns into a life of crime. Well, even worse than before, which is insane, and just shows how weird and evil he was, which gives him a good story as well. Okay, basically his origin story, saying that what he wants to do, so he wants to fight all the heroes, kill all of them, and then he comes up with his name as well. Those bloodstains will never fade, which is pretty interesting take on that, of how he becomes the person he is in the main series and further on, is that, and this actually gives him more screen time than in the main series. Because at least he's through like this whole chapter, a few chapters of this series. So very good volume. Immediately, and this is his character sheet, immediately shows of basically it's more intense and more bloody and a lot more villains in this one. Like this one was chock full of villains, the mob guys, and then Steinhold, and then that Queen Bee is talking to somebody, and just stuff like that. So very good volume all around. The cutting the nose thing made me uncomfortable, so 8 out of 10 for this volume as well. So it's very good volume still, which I enjoy. I just think the hero thing is bullshit, and I don't like the cutting of the nose thing. And just how Stain is just so evil, basically, just for the sake of being evil, just doesn't make sense to me. But it just shows his character, I guess. Now we have volume 3. So this one, immediately the manga, the cover introduces a new female character. It looks pretty cute. MC is, and then pops up, and then a new kind of like All Might character, probably a hero dude that reminds me of the main hero from The Boys, and just a stereotypical American hero, I guess you could say. So this introduces the random main character from the cover, just like, what's up? She basically meets them at school and just introduces herself. A new character that's actually going to be pretty important. A lot more information on the world. In that the first hearing licensing was actually in Rhode Island, which I think is completely random and weird. I feel like it would be New York or like Washington, D.C. I guess so that's just kind of funny. And then it gives you a lot more information on quirks and like vigilantes and like the pro hero system and stuff like that. And this just shows that all vigilantes were basically labeled as evil, even if they aren't. Alright, 7 of 189 vigilantes were labeled heroes. Just shows like the differential and like a bunch more information into the world of how people are treated and things like that. So now we have the next one, which is actually shows that this lady is actually the younger sister of the detective dude. So it shows some good correlation between the characters, and we've never met her in the main series. So it just shows that something might happen to her, or just they never mention her just because, but it just introduces that she's actually important to the story, because the detective dude is constantly looking for the vigilante. So if she ever figures out who the MC and all his friends are, then it just makes for a good dynamic for the story. This is her character sheet, so Makoto. And her birthday is 3'3", 168 centimeters. Coffee, and then her quirk is polygraph, so she can detect lies, and then some behind the scenes stuff. And they wanted her to serve multiple uses for story and things like that. Pretty important. It just shows what makes a hero a hero. Mostly it's popularity and public support. So majority of them are, if you're strong, they love you, and then if you're popular and like good, then you're loved as well. So then it just shows like her, and then what's the difference between these heroes and then the vigilantes, her thoughts and things like that. It just gives her more character. Alright, and this is, she actually did a popularity contest essentially with Crawler, Popstep, and Grandpa Fist, which is Knuckle Duster. Crawler is it's kind of messed up because he's never really creepy. He just helps people. And Popstep is more like just because she's hot. And then this one is because he's definitely scary. So just differences like that makes sense to me in the long run of things. I just don't feel like that he's actually kind of creepy. He doesn't really do any creepy things. We'll go down here. Her using her quirk in action. So you're actually Crawler Man, aren't you? But because she said Crawler and he said no, her quirk didn't activate, because he's technically telling the truth, because he's not Donut Man or whatever, which I think is hilarious because there's limitations to her quirk immediately. Verdict, truth. So funny. Introduces a new character that we've never seen before named Captain Celebrity. So either something happens or he's just not important to the story, but he's just a funny character that really reminds me of the dude from The Boys, where he's super nice on the outside, but he might be kind of evil and things like that. So I think it's just super cool that introduces basically a hero character that's different to all the stories, where they don't have to bring somebody in from the main series to tie everything together. And this just shows that, oh, he has a dark side to him, where he's basically known as the Soaring Stallion, where he just goes from bed to bed, and he has a lot of legal troubles with women and stuff like that. It shows that there's a lot of different things about him, so just you have to watch out for him. And then this is his character sheet, and his initial design, and his age. So Christopher Skyline is his real name. 7'4", 200 centimeters, hamburgers and steaks, and then quirk is flight. And then his behind the scenes. So it just shows that how they came up with him. She believes that they're the vigilantes. So he gives her a rundown of everything, and he's basically telling the truth. So that's why her quirk doesn't activate, which I think is interesting. That shows that her quirk's not all powerful like I initially thought it would be. So next we have who definitely looks evil. They seem super nice. This quirk got activated, so villainy, and basically, so they have to jump into action on the train because NGM couldn't reach her. So it just immediately just boom, force of will, and just shows that he powers up whenever he believes in something and wants to do something. It just gives really good where his every volume his quirk is constantly being evolved and he's constantly being powered up, which I really like. It's just awesome moment. Kochi could actually fly when he was a baby. He just never did it ever again, but he actually could fly through the air originally, which I think is cool and something that his mom never told him, which I think is dumb, but he could have been an awesome hero. These 5 bookmarks are just stuff that happened originally. So then this just shows that where these stories happen. So in terms of timeline, they take place around episode 6, No Need to Hold Back, from the start of volume 2. The events at the end of volume 1 concern a surge of instant villains in the Naruhata neighborhood, and here we see how the police and pro heroes are dealing with that. Chapters take place in that. These are just special chapters attached to the volume. So first of all, we have all the heroes coming together, and then you actually see Endeavor without his flames for like once in a while. We never see that. Everybody else is like wearing their hero costumes, like this guy and then Snipe. They're all wearing their hero stuff, but Endeavor, he's not flamed on, which is super cool because we never really see him like that. And then Midnight without her costume on, which looks very different. Midnight just accepted a job as a teacher, and she's urging Eraserhead to do that, but he doesn't want to. So it's just giving good backstory of how Eraserhead became a teacher originally, even though he kind of hates it in the main series. So I just like that kind of stuff to where it connects, and you know that you're getting more information if you read this series because it connects to the main series from 4 years ago. Gives a lot more backstory, and the Rhode Island thing is never mentioned in the main series, and just a few bits and bobs of details, things like that. Like you never knew about Vigilantes, you just knew that villains are villains and villains are evil. You never knew about how the other half lived, basically. This introduces All Might to the main series, and how good of a hero he is, and things like that, just of him, and how he met the detective dude. At this current point in the timeline, he was already hurt, so I really like because their introduction is awesome, and how great All Might is, and how good of a person he was. It basically shows Night Eye from the main series and that, of how great of an assistant he was, which I think is awesome. They mentioned Night Eye, and then it basically shows that how All Might and Detective came to be friends like 4 years ago, which I really enjoy. So this has been the first 3 volumes of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, the manga review. Rather in-depth, just bookmarking throughout and then writing down my notes. What I think will happen was B-Chick definitely needs to be taken down. Stain needs to be handled, but because of the main series, we know that that's not the case. NGM will be taken down by Stain, so that's unfortunate. Finally, the MC needs to get better control of his powers and all the evolutions he's had. Like in Volume 2, he had an evolution, and in Volume 3, he had an evolution as well. So he needs to get a handle on that as well. But I'm excited to see how his powers evolve and how he gets stronger, because I feel like he can be a very strong hero. I feel like they would never put any of them in the main series, but if they do, I feel like Crawler would be a great hero to add on. I feel like he could at least be, as long as his power keeps evolving, he could be like one of the top 20 heroes. This has been 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna release new manga reviews though, like every 2 weeks. So I'll do 4 to 6, and then I'll do a different manga series after that. So I'm thinking Inuyasha or Bleach, because I've never read those before, and I've never watched the anime for those before. There's a few that I've never watched the anime before, so just leave suggestions on what you want me to do a main review of, and I'll start buying all the volumes and reviewing them, depending how long they are. I'm thinking about 3 volumes of video, because I can read super fast, but actually doing the in-depth review with like all the bookmarks and stuff takes about 20 minutes per volume. So this video is gonna be pretty long, but I don't care, whatever. It's just fun to do, and I really enjoy doing reviews and things like that. So just to end it out, this has been 1 to 3. Very good series so far. I really enjoy it. I would probably give it overall 9 out of 10. I really enjoy it. It's definitely different than the main series, but the main character really pulls it all together with how strong he is, and he's really good to root for, and there's just a lot of awesome moments with him, which I really like. So I will do 4 to 6 next, and then when 8 and 9 release, I will do those as well. Volume 9 will release around the middle of March of next year, so that's probably when I will be able to do 7 to 9. But 4 to 6 will happen in about 2 weeks, and then there'll be a major gap. Then I'll do some other manga reviews. This has been my in-depth manga review. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a good day.